Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. Welcome, everyone, to our Bringing Humanity Together live streams. Today is Wonderful Wednesday, and you know what that means. It is Conversation for Humanity. This is one of three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella, where people can discuss topics related to the workplace, humanity in the workplace, in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues are out there because it is our goal, mission, our purpose, and I dare say our calling here at Bringing Humanity Together to both working employers and employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. And as always, we'll be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Feel free to invite your friends, your fur babies, your lazy co-workers if they are, family, friends, colleagues, whoever. Bring them all in. We'll have that great and engaging conversation with them. And remember, as always, every Tuesday, Share and Care is hosted by Sandy Chernoff. I, of course, host Conversation for Humanity. And Thursdays is always hosted by Clark Finnegan for Humanity Happy Hour. And as you jump on, whether it be on our YouTube channel, LinkedIn Live, or our Facebook business page, please let us know where you're watching from. And if you're even watching this on a replay, use the hashtag replay. And if you want to present a question, submit it, please put it in the comment section of all those platforms. And also, if you want to present show topics, or if you want to join us live, we just like to be able to let you know there will be a live link already posted in these platforms already. So there will be, says join us live link, and the link will be there. And just click that link and we'll get people on as soon as we can, because we can hold up to 10 people at any given time for a live stream and everything like that. So we'll be also monitoring the chat on all three platforms. So if you guys want to have that great and engaging conversation, even on a one-on-one, we'll definitely reach out and have that conversation with you too as well. Hello, Mr. Day.
Hi, Chris.
How are you doing today on Wednesday?
I'm good. Feeling very good since I got a lot accomplished this morning.
That's a good thing. You can't say no to being accomplished today. That's a good thing.
I'm quite happy with how this is going, so that's all good.
That is good. And evidently you have a great day today because it's not raining. Nice out there.
Yeah, it stopped, but it's still very gray, and they said that it's going to start raining again. So, and it poured, Chris. I mean, it was just absolutely coming down in buckets. It was horrible. Yesterday was the same, but yesterday afternoon got lovely. It actually was very nice yesterday afternoon, but it's not supposed to happen today. Maybe Thursday afternoon it'll start clearing again because Friday's supposed to be nice, but we've had a very, very, very rainy week.
Well, I can use some rain down here in Florida because it's been kind of dry, so we could use some rain. But I will say this, the humidity has been lower, so it's been much nicer because the heat's not really been like super hot, so I can take that. But just give us a little rain, just a little will help. You know, it's been really nice down here.
We had a very hot, humid summer, which is not usual in Vancouver. I mean, it was very, very hot here this year, Chris, and we didn't have a lot of rain until recently. The fall is usually a very rainy time in Vancouver. It's, like I'm not surprised that we're getting the rain. And also early spring is usually kind of rainy. But, we don't usually have the kind of summer that we had last summer. There were, just so dry. That's why I told you, we had, 300-400 forest fires in BC. It burned. It was just awful. And there were some whole towns that got burnt down to the ground. It was awful. Well, same thing was happening in California and Oregon and parts of Washington. The whole west side of this continent was so dry. And so forest fires were raging everywhere. It was god awful. There were some on the prairies too, and there were a few in Ontario, but the worst was BC. BC was the worst, as was California was terrible this year, just awful. So, it's been very dry, and really it's climate change. I mean, it's really the glaciers, up in North Pole are melting and, all this kind of stuff. It's warming. I mean, the earth is warming because we're using all these fossil fuels, which, send up all kinds of whatever's to the atmosphere, and it's warming the earth. And they're saying that we're going to continue to have these kind of summers that we are not used to in Vancouver. So, we'll just have to see. Fortunately, there weren't any fires up at Whistler. I was kind of worried about that.
Right.
But there were only a couple very small ones, and they put them out right away. But because it's a lovely area. I mean, it's just such a nice place to be. There's one very large lake there, and the kids really. We actually hike up.
Nice.
You can drive up, but we usually hike up, and the kids love it. There's some different docks that you can swim to, and it's a wonderful place. And the whitewater rafting up there is just incredible. I've done it, and it's amazing. So I mean, there's just so many things you can do. And as I said, you can go horseback riding, and there's 3 or 4 golf courses up there. And it's just, there's lots and lots to do. So and there's wonderful hiking, just wonderful hiking. Plus the golf course has a trail that goes all around it that's paved, so you can ride your bike there. There's wonderful places to ride your bike. And even on the highway that's between Whistler and Squamish and north of Whistler, there are bike lanes on the side of the highway so that you can actually ride your bike there too. It's just, there's so much to do, Chris. It's just, it's a great place. And, our kids love it. Like even Mark, he sometimes comes with a few of his friends and goes skiing because he really misses skiing. They don't have much skiing in Ontario. And, but the boys had such a good time when they came up in the summer. They just loved it. And my daughter-in-law actually liked it quite a bit too, because she'd heard about the cabin for years and she'd never seen it. And it's big. There's 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and a nice living room and a good sized kitchen. And we have a loft upstairs. So one part of that is a bedroom. There's another bathroom up there. Oh yeah, there's 3 bathrooms. And it's a very nice, area, and it's in a complex of townhouses. And it's just, and you can walk to the village. So at least where we are, you can. And it's very nice. It's a wonderful place to spend time, no matter what time of year. The skiing is fantastic. You have 2 huge mountains, and there's just, you can't do all the runs in one day, Chris.
I'm sure.
That's how big they are. But it's just, and where our cabin is, if you take the Whistler lift, you can ski right to the cabin. So even if we're on Blackcomb, I'll go across to Whistler when I'm ready to come home and come down part way on the Whistler lift and then just ski to the cabin. It's pretty convenient. In the morning, you just hike up a little bit and ski down to the village.
Right.
So,
Nice.
But yeah, and they've got, the golf courses, one of them was designed by Jack Nicklaus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I think that was the Chateau one. But there's also a Whistler one, and there's one in Squamish, and or I think there might be, there's one in Squamish, but there's 3 in Whistler. And they're pretty challenging courses, but they're beautiful because, one of them's on the side of a mountain. Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you. We missed you yesterday.
Nice to see you. Missed you guys too.
And let me guess, they had to do something with the computer yet again. Something going on with HP, wasn't it?
It's always something, right?
Life always happens. They always do.
Technology, when it's working, we love it. When it's not, you want to throw it out the window because it's so annoying.
Exactly.
No, I don't think it was the computer, though. It might have been something else because if it was, you would be on with us today because a week or so ago, that's when you had all those problems. You could just never get it done, and you had to do what? You had to reset the whole computer, wasn't it?
Yep, I had to reset the whole computer because my microphone wasn't working.
Wow.
They said it had something to do with an update that the computer What happened was it totally wiped out my password to log into the computer, so I couldn't log into the computer.
Lisa.
So I had to put it in safe mode and basically wipe it out. Luckily, everything goes on the cloud, so I didn't lose anything. So
Wow.
Computers.
Technology is good when it works, but then again, when it doesn't, it doesn't.
Well, you know what I have, Lisa? I have a removable hard drive, and about once a week, I transfer, any of the programs that I have and that I've done onto my removable hard drive so that I have it as a backup. So when I got a new computer, all I had to do was plug in the removable hard drive and just transfer everything onto.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Well, one of my techies told me that, you have to have that. He said,
Right.
because if you lost all your programs, you'd want to commit Harry-Carry. And he was right. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff on my computer, and if I lost it all, I would not be a happy camper. So
No.
it's really good to have and I have most of my files also I have two laptops. I have an old laptop and I have a new one.
Mm-hmm.
I have most of my files on both of those as well. So I'm kind of covered in a lot of different ways. But it's things can happen, and the weakest part of your computer is your hard drive, and you lose
Right.
that, you lose everything on it, you're done.
Exactly.
So it's really good. That's why he told me, he says, with what you do, you need a removable hard drive.
Right.
And I'll remember that from now on. I never knew that there was a removable hard drive. I thought you just, and that's it. But removable, I never knew about that. That's something new.
Right.
They're not very big. Look at the size of this, but it holds a lot of stuff. Look how little it is.
Yep,
Oh,
I
my
have
word.
one just like that.
Oh yeah. So it's just a good thing to have, Chris, especially if you have a lot of things on your computer that you need and that you use on a regular basis. Then it's good to have something like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Randy told me, he says, with what you do, you need to have one of those. And I didn't even know what it was. So the first one he actually brought me, but this is the third one I've had. They also die.
Yeah.
Just so you know. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just,
Carla, she'll be with us here in a little bit, so she's on her way. And I just sent a message over to Brian, so hopefully he will be on soon. If not, no big deal. But I really so much loved our conversation yesterday about leadership being a mindset, or is it a positional type of thing? And I want to dive into the mindset dynamic, to where can it truly turn into our mission, passion, and purpose in our calling? Can leadership turn really into that? And how do we start there? And what's the process that we go through of getting to that point of saying, hey, I am a leader. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And create, like I said before, in a lot of different calls that we've had, is about creating better environments that will create better results. So that's why I was thinking about that. How do we actually turn that mindset into our passion, purpose, and mission of whatever that is?
Well, you know what, Chris? It's totally going to depend on if people in some of these organizations realize that they don't have the leadership skills that they need to do the kinds of things that you're just talking about. Then there's an opportunity to do some leadership training. And, I love the thing that John Maxwell came up with, listen, learn, lead. I mean, it's a great little saying, and it's so true, because it's not about you, the leader. It's about the people that you're working with. And if you aren't prepared to learn about them and help them to fulfill their potential, then you're not going to have a good organization. Because it's really important. And listen, it's a win-win for everybody. When people have fulfilled their potential and they're doing good work and they feel confident in what they're doing, their self-esteem rises. And of course, their confidence rises. And then they work better they just do better things. They'll probably make fewer mistakes. And, it's just a matter of what are you doing? And as a leader, it's not about you. It's really not. And people who are so egocentric that, they can't see past their own ego, that's not a good mindset. It's really not.
And I'm glad you said that about ego.
It's
And that's
huge.
another component to this conversation I want to have today is, are we willing to let go of what we fear to lose when it comes to a place of leadership? When we say, hey, if it's not going to only be a mindset, but also a state of being of this is who we truly are, how do we let go of those negative things that's going to hold us back? Whether it's from a place of ego, a place of fear, a place of
Attitude.
resentment, and what I was kind of touched on with both of you before our call yesterday about shame
Mm-hmm.
and also about guilt.
Yeah.
Oh, shaming and the guilt trip. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the thing is that it's just a matter of what are you doing? And if you're not helping your people, the people that you work with, then you're not going to have a good organization. It just, it doesn't fly. So it's very important that the people who are leading the organization commit to creating, maintaining, and establishing an internal architecture that is respectful, supportive, encouraging, and acknowledging. And if they can do that, they will have a strong organization. Because, it's just, again, I know I say this all the time, it's not rocket science, but it's really not. It's a matter of being human and relating to the people that you work with. Because yes, they work for you, but that's not the way you look at it when you're actually rolling up your sleeves and getting to work. Because as a team, yes, there is a team leader, but that team leader is really, their job is, again, to get the full potential out of all the team members and to help them to feel comfortable and to feel appreciated. And if you can do that, you're going to have a very high performing team. You're going to be able to accomplish anything you want to accomplish. And it's a win-win for everybody. But if people don't feel appreciated and they don't feel that they're supported and, they don't feel that they're respected, then why would they stick around? And the only time they do is if they're stuck, because they have bills to pay and they don't, see getting another job quickly. So, then they stay there. But when they're not happy, they'll make more mistakes, and it's just not fun. Plus, they're stressed out, and they'll probably take their stress home to their family. I mean, it's just not a good situation. So,
to help people feel appreciated and feel liked and feel like they're in a great place and a great work environment, as a leader, you have to let go of your ego. It's not about you.
No, it's absolutely not, Carla. And I think that a lot of people, because, they have this high position as the leader, whatever, they miss out on things because they're not listening and they're not paying attention, and it's all about them. And I'm sorry, as a leader, it's not all about you. You are the one that's supposed to help everybody else. And if you're not doing that, then you're not doing your job. It's just,
right.
It's I don't understand. But again, I think a lot of people get put into those positions without any training. And so they don't know what to do.
Well, I think they get put in those positions without training and without the expectations. And so they're not given any expectations from their leader. And so I think that's where we get in trouble, when we don't provide even our leaders with the expectation of, this is what's important to us as an organization. This is how we expect things to go, and then provide the training so that they can roll that out to their people. And if it starts at the top and works its way down, then things will fall into place, or people will leave, or you'll have to have people leave if they don't follow the expectations after being given the training and the tools that they need to be successful. Because you can say, oh, I want you to lead, and then you don't provide the leader with enough resources to be able to do that, because they have to jump in and be one of the people, workers, if you will, one of the worker bees, because they don't have enough people. So they're not given the tools they need to do their job. So it's more than just training. And, I think it's expectations. I think that's the first step. Is an organization needs to identify that these things are important to us, and then roll out expectations and provide the training to all the leaders, so the leaders understand what the expectations are. They begin to have the tools they need to be successful, and then we need to walk the talk, or whatever. Because walk the walk, right? We need to lead by example, because if we're leaders that don't lead, and then we say, but these leaders need to lead, that it doesn't work that way.
No.
So it has to lead by example, but you have to have the expectations from the get-go. You have to have the training and the tools that you need to be successful. And then you have to walk the walk, right? You have to lead by example. And I think it really does go back to what John C. Maxwell says, right? You, as a leader, you have to be in the know. You have to listen to what's going on around you. You have to learn, and then that will help you be a better leader. But again, you got to have the tools and the training. Otherwise, you're just up the creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
You know what?
Flailing to figure it out and set up a disaster.
They're set up to fail. I mean, when you
Exactly.
in a position like that, and you don't give them the proper support and training so that they can be good at it, you set them up to fail. I mean, what kind of a way is that to deal with people? I mean, it's so sad.
Right.
And it's so unnecessary, because it's not really that hard. I mean, if the company itself doesn't want to establish a leadership training program, they can certainly bring in a facilitator, sit down with them, tell them what they need, and the facilitator will put together a program that will provide their people with the tools and the approaches and the strategies and the skills necessary to be good and to be able to lead well, so that they're going to get the best out of the rest of their people. But
And if they don't want to do that, then you need to consider about whether that's somewhere that really fits for you.
Mm-hmm.
and they're not right for the position.
Yeah.
Because, again, being a leader, it's not about you. It's really not. The best leaders are the ones that listen very carefully to all their people, get to know them, what their concerns are, what they want to do, how they want to do it, and, so on and so forth. And if they can do that, then they're going to have a great team.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And if the leader isn't in the position for the right reasons, they're not going to be successful. So if they're just in it to have a position or to get higher in the company, and all they care about is that, and they're not there to, because again, leadership is a mindset. It's about other people. It's about helping other people be the best that they can be.
Exactly.
And so if you're not in it for the right reasons, you're not going to have a successful team, because they're going to feel it right away.
Yeah.
You're going to know right away.
Absolutely.
Exactly right. And see, I want to get you all's take on it, and I want to start the conversation more in depth about this. Is leadership literally a state of being that we actually say, this is who I am? This is how not only I lead, but this is how I can be able to create value to such an extent that I will end up becoming a part of something bigger than myself, because I'm allowing myself, and again, going back to what John C. Maxwell said, listen and to learn and to lead. And I truly believe that, like I said, if that's innate in us to such an extent that it's part of who we are, not only can we become better leaders individually, but we can literally plant the seeds of leadership into every single corner of an organization or community across this globe. So I'll start with you, Lisa. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it is something that, we, as leading by example, can plant the seeds into everyone, because it boils down to, like I mentioned earlier, you got to have the expectations, you got to have the tools to be successful. That includes training, but it's not just training. There's a lot of other aspects. But I think that if you're someone who truly believes in helping others be the best that they can be, I think through that alone, you can help other people become leaders, even if they don't have a leadership position, right? You could teach people to be leaders, and we can instill this in our kids. There's a lot of different ways to do that, and really it should be a community effort, not just an organizational effort. A community effort of raising kids in the community that are leaders, that lead by example, that that want to help others be better.
Carla?
Well, I've always thought that we can all be leaders. And so for me, that would be a state of being, because I'm not going to sit and wait for a leadership position to come along. If I can make somebody else's day better or help them in some way, I just believe that we all have the potential to be leaders. It's not management versus leader. You can be a leader in just how if you're part of a team, how you show up for the team. If you've got a positive attitude and you're grateful and you're helping other people out, that's leading. That's showing leadership.
Sandy?
Well, I mean, again, it's never about the leader person, whatever. If they're going to be good at leading their team, then they need to do what John Maxwell said: listen, learn, and lead. Because if you don't know your team, then you can't help them be the best they can be. And that's one of the most important things. I mean, I followed that with my patients, because in order to be able to help people improve their health, they needed to listen to you and know that you had their best interest at heart. And the only way to do that was to find out what their concerns were and what kinds of issues they had. And in order to do that, you have to listen. And so once I could find that out, then I could establish more trust and respect and rapport. And my patients knew that I had their best interests at heart. And when I was showing them how to brush or floss or, do whatever, it was so that their oral health would be better. And if their oral health is good, it's not going to impact negatively on their general health. And it's something that, people needed to understand. Your head is attached to the rest of your body. And unfortunately, the oral cavity has about 350 different organisms in it, and some of them aren't very nice. And, you're swallowing them all the time. And if your mouth is unhealthy and it's bleeding a lot, that means that you've got a lot of stuff going into your general system. And what those bacteria usually look for is a weak spot. So, if you have a bad heart, or you have bad kidneys, or you have a bad hip, or, any of these kinds of things, that's where those bacteria are going to lodge. And it's going to be a bigger problem. So you don't want to go there. And that's why it's so important to package the messaging that you're giving to people in a package that's appropriate for them. And, that's what marketing's all about. But it may be the same message generally, but it has to be packaged in a way that it grabs their attention, so that they're going to listen and they're going to do it because you have convinced them that it's a good thing for them to do. But they won't do it if they don't trust you.
Mm-hmm.
So you really, and the way to earn people's trust is to listen respectfully to them and show them that you listen by giving them feedback and showing them that you heard what they said and you think that, what they came up with was a good idea. Or if they need help with something, okay, well, I heard that this is something that's troubling you. Let me help you with that. What do you think if we do this, sort of thing. And it's just a matter of, you're showing them respect, because you're showing them that even though you're the leader, you are listening to them, you're paying attention to them, and you want the best for them. And if you can get that across, you win. I mean, there's just no way that you're not going to win. And it is the job of the leader to get the best out of their people and to help them fulfill their potential. And you can only do that if you're paying attention. If it's all about you and you just, I'm the leader, I'm the boss, I'm the, whatever. Well, I'm sorry. Then you're missing the boat, because that's not what it's all about. That's not good leadership. It's, it's not about you. It's about the people you work with. And the more you can help them to be the best they can be, the more everybody wins. So it's just a matter of, again, you got to pay attention. And in order to do that, you got to practice active listening, because unfortunately we're not mind readers. So, be
Probably a
mindful.
good thing we're not mind readers.
But
Some
it's
people think they are.
yes, some people do think they are, Carla. But it's just, because what some people will do is, if they figure they already know what you're going to tell them, they don't listen. And it could be something very different. And it's just, again, how are you relating to the people you work with? And if you're not relating well and you're not establishing good relationships that are based on trust and respect and so on, then you're going to have trouble. It's going to be very difficult. I mean, I learned that because I think I told you guys the first book my dad gave me when I started practicing was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It was the first book he gave me. And you have to read this book. Okay. But it does give you a lot of insight into how to deal with people. And it is really important. I don't care what your position is. Even if you're just, part of the team, you still have to get along with your colleagues. You still, want to support them. If somebody needs an extra hand, why wouldn't you be there? It's just, again, it's not so difficult, but it's just a matter of, I learned a lot of things when I did a lot of the volunteer work that I did, because of course volunteers don't get paid. So you got to really be nice to them and support them and encourage them and all those things, because they're not earning any money. They're doing this out of the goodness of their heart. If you're not nice to them, they're not going to help you. So, and it's no different in real life. It's really not. Even when people are getting paid, you still have to support them. You still have to thank them. It's not that hard, but a lot of people don't bother. And I think when somebody goes above and beyond, and if it's not acknowledged, they won't do it again, because they'll figure nobody noticed, nobody cares. So why would I do that? So it's a matter of that's why you got to pay attention. And that's why the leader needs to be paying more attention to everybody else rather than to themselves. It's not about them.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, a lot of people do it just because that's their character, and they'll go above and beyond. And then when they get they reach a certain breaking point, so to speak, that, I do this because I want to do it, but it would be nice to get a little recognition from it,
Exactly, Carla.
And then they just kind of start to slack off, and next thing you know, they're not engaged anymore.
No. And you can't blame them. It's not that hard to say thank you.
I know.
It's not really a big deal. I don't know why, people don't do that. It's really very simple. And in some situations, you can even, give them a voucher for a free lunch somewhere, or, something. It's not, these things don't necessarily cost a whole ton of money. And just acknowledging certain things and rewarding people from time to time, it goes a long ways.
It does. It does.
It does.
And I want to dive in further into this dynamic too as well. If leadership is a state of being, which now we all agree upon that's basically what leadership could turn really into, can leadership do this on a two-folded dynamic? Number one, can we recognize the potential in every single person on that team to such an extent we are intentional enough to say, hey, you have a special gift here, you have a special gift there, whoever that might be. And then number two, once we are aware of that, are we intentional enough to move forward with that, or are we just playing that game? Okay, just like some other companies out there and say, hey, we have an open door policy, this, that, the other, yada, 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 yada. But yet there's no really substance after that. That really is really down deep, and they know that. So I want to go to you, Carla. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, as you're saying, can we? I'm like, There's no question we should be doing this. Because we need, I don't care if you're in a leadership position or you're just a team member. We should be grateful that we have a great team to work with. We should figure out what everybody's strengths are, help people when they have weaknesses. And, if I have, if I had a patient room that I finished up and, at one time they were saying that we had to turn over our own rooms. And I was like, okay. And you want me to do all this in 10 minutes, right? Get in, see the patient, deal with them, and turn over the room in 10 minutes, And I'm going like, they can't even get dressed and undressed in that amount of time, But we need to be working together as a well-oiled machine, and we need to be thanking people that are going in and saying, hey, I got this. Like Sandy was talking about, if they had downtime, that they would go and help other people clean their instruments and process them, because that takes time. And it's like, oh, I got it, no problem. And Sandy would just, because she is who she is, would be grateful for that and turn around and thank them and be appreciative of it. And when we're all doing that and knowing each other's strengths and helping each other in their weaknesses and helping them out in the course of the day, you walk away from work with a great feeling.
And everybody does.
We need to be doing that. I don't care what the industry is. This is just examples. And there are so many people out there that hate going to work every day and are burnt out. We got to do something. Yep. And it starts with getting your darn ego out of the way and being a human being and treating people the way they ought to be treated.
Exactly. Because again, it's not about you.
It is not about you.
And that really just goes back to creating that environment where people don't feel the stress that creates some of these things, right? I think that part of the reason why we all, or that, egos come into play is that, there's so much stress on people to, be perfect, to be the one that people go to or whatever it is. So I think creating that better environment, recognizing that people have strengths and weaknesses. Mm-hmm. There's 4 of us here, and we're all going to have different strengths and different weaknesses. And that's what makes a team great, is that we can rely on one another. What's a strength for me might be a weakness for Carla or Sandy or Chris. What's a strength for you guys might be a weakness for me. So those are things that we can as a team can help each other with. And I think when we create that kind of environment in organizations, it's better because people don't feel the stress to be the best or to be the one or to, always. And I think that's where egos are created. And
I think that it can be stressful when you've got people coming to you saying, I can't find this and I can't find that. And I run into this, and I have learned that, like on the team that I have, you can either fish for people or you can teach them how to fish. And so I teach them to be resourceful, because when they can feel resourceful and know what resources are out there and know what they can go to, you can say, hey, have you checked the business page? Have you done this or that? Or it's under whatever. I bookmark that on my computer, so it's always there when I want to look up something. But let me know if you need any more help. And 9 times out of 10, they're like so happy that they can fly on their own. They've learned to be more independent, and they've learned to be able to go to where they need to go to get the resources they need. They end up being less dependent upon the leader, which some leaders don't want to let go of that because that strokes their ego. It's not, when it's not about ego, you teach them how to fish. You don't fish for them. I don't need to be handing out information 8 hours a day to people when I can teach them to be resourceful, because it's a win for them and it's a win for me and it's a win for the organization.
Exactly. I think the more that people learn to be on their own, the stronger they feel, the better they feel, and the more it helps the team overall or the organization overall. Because, there may come a time when one of the people on the team can't be there or whatever. Maybe they want to go to a conference or do something outside, and if they feel like they're the only one that can do everything, they're going to feel the stress to not go do the things that they need to do. And that's not a win-win for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even fun, Lisa.
No, and not even for the person that's doing it all, right? I mean, their original goal was ego-based, right? I'm going to, be the one that people go to and job security or whatever the case may be, but eventually it gets them too.
Well, it's exhausting.
Exactly. So it's not a win-win for anyone.
Well, and I've told people for a very long time now, because I've really realized this when I started this journey back in 2017. If you're willing to let go of what you fear to lose, then you have nothing to fear, and then you have nothing to lose. Even when it comes to a place in a state of being that is leadership, when you really are letting go, and you're letting go of your ego, your selfishness, your ways of being things, and saying, I will do one thing today, but I'm actually doing it in a total opposite direction of what I'm saying. So it's like the old adage is, don't do as I say or do as I do, And I believe if we are steadfast and honest with everyone that's in our organizations, or even better yet, in our very communities, because I believe in this, ladies, the very same community that we live in, the very same community that we work in. That gap has not really been fully connected the way it really should be, because even in a place of leadership, if you recognize what Carla's bringing to the table, or Sandy's bringing to the table, or what Lisa's bringing to the table, to me, ladies, it's just basically a great starting point to say, hey, I know what they are bringing to the table, and I'm going to value that to such an extent. Not only are they going to know it, and they see it, and it's tangible to them, and it's in their heart of hearts, I'm not going to do it from a place of money. And to me, money goes into the direction of, oh, I'm only trading time for my money. We get that. We understand that. But for me, ladies, what we're building here at Bringing Humanity Together is about creating the next currency of humanity, even when it comes to a place of leadership, that it's about value. And once we value people to such an extent, like I said, it's tangible to them. They know it. It's in their heart of hearts. It's going to translate that to such an extent. It's going to be something so well worth it, not only in their eyes, but also in the eyes of everyone else on that team. It creates the replicating and duplicating effect that says, hey, if Lisa can do it, I can do it. And if my leader can do it, I can be that very same leader too as well. And when we build that field of dreams with them, and as the old adage is saying, if you build it, they will come. Not only will they come in droves, they can help other people build their own field of dreams, even in the confines of an organization structure. And I believe in that. And we will do that, because I just know when we put the human value far above the selfishness and our own greed or our own ways of doing things, and we're so into ourselves, and we are truly willing to let all that go and say, this is for the greater good, this is for the greater cause, this is what we will be willing to do. It's going to, like, to spark the fire inside of every single person in that organization, that's going to really change your world to such an extent. It's going to literally create a new paradigm, a new way of being, and seeing something from another person's point of view, that not only will it change, like I said, change your world, but it's also going to change their world. Because, see, when you think about it, it is our world that are connected to each other. So it becomes literally our journey, our purpose, and our mission when you really put it in that context. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Lisa?
Yes, I agree with that. Everything's interconnected.
Carla?
I agree with that. Sorry, I was picking something up off the floor. Gosh, yeah, it's so much in there. I can't figure out where I want to start. It is all interconnected, and we do have to put our egos to the side and treat people as human beings. And when people say, oh, you have to create an environment, well, when you start off treating people as human beings and treat people the way that you would like to be treated, which is hopefully with kindness and respect, you're there. It's not that hard, as Sandy would say. It ain't rocket science.
That's right.
It's not that hard. What are you doing? It really isn't that hard.
No.
The people think, oh my God, I got to create this culture and this work environment. It's like, why don't you start off by treating people with respect?
Right.
Treating each other with kindness and respect.
And listening.
And it's having that expectation that you know, as an organization, we're not going to allow people to treat people with disrespect.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we can treat people with respect, but if it's not being done by everyone, then there's a problem.
And you tolerate it in the workplace and it's not across the board. People are going, what's going on here?
Right.
Miss Sandy?
I agree with you, Chris. I mean, you know, the whole thing is really, again, it's not about the leader. It's about the people that they're supposed to be leading. And that's why you have to put all your stuff aside and pay attention to the people that you're trying to help to be the best they can be and to the advantage of the organization, and to treat them humanely and respectfully, and, you know, all the things that are going to help them to be able to do their job well and to feel good about it. And again, it's really not that hard, but it's something that you have to pay attention to. And in order to know what people want to do and how they want to do it, and, you know, all the times that people say, well, this is how you have to do it. You have to do this step and this step. Well, why? You know, if they can still get from A to B, and why do you care how they got there? As long as they get there and the job is done appropriately and it's done well, I don't know why you care how they got there. I mean, to me, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of getting the job done and having the result that you want. And if you do, I don't see why you care how they got from A to B. And in some situations, maybe they'll do it better than what your process was, you know. So it doesn't, I don't really feel, when you're teaching someone how to do something, yeah, they can start with whatever. But after that, leave them alone. You know, let them have a choice of doing, you know, what they want and how they want to do it. And as long as they're getting the job done and doing it appropriately so that the results are good, why would we care? I mean, I just don't know why you have to impose your strict ideas on it. To me, it doesn't make any sense. I think that, you know, give them a little bit of freedom, gives them a little bit of independence. It might work in your favor in the end. You know, it's not that hard again. It's just a matter of letting them have the opportunity to do their job the way they want to do it. And what's wrong with that?
Right. Well, I'm going to bring up this great, how do you want to call it? It's a slideshow. I think it's more than a slideshow. I think it's again, a state of who we are here at Bringing Humanity Together. And this is done by Lisa. And I believe this is going to create so much clarity into things. And I'm going to go through it and let it run. And Lisa, if you remember what the takeaways that you did take, I think there was like a survey or something that was on this. Let's share that with everybody after it gets done. So here we go. Let's have to refresh it here. All right, click to play the audio. Here we go.
Didn't play the whole thing.
Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Now, this is the start of it. It was backwards. Sorry about that.
What?
Now, this is what I want to go to right here. It says right here, according to research found on the firm website for employees, the 5 biggest factors are clear expectations from leaders and regular feedback, good relationship with their leader, have tools to be successful at your job or department or whatever that needs to be, authority necessary to do the job well, and freedom to make work decisions. So let's get more in depth with this, Lisa. How did you come to find all this?
Well, the SHRM website is the Society for Human Resources Management. And basically, I was just researching a little bit on employee engagement because that was what we were going to talk about. And I know that the expectations are really the very beginning, right? You start a relationship with an employee, the expectations of them in their job, what are the expectations, are very important because people need to know what the expectations are. A lot of us that have careers and, we're professionals in our jobs, positions, we might know the basic expectations for the position, but there's expectations that any leader should provide what they expect of their people. And so expectations are important. And so obviously building a relationship with the leader, having that relationship. And again, it goes back to you as a leader. It's not about you, it's about your people. And so the people that work on your team, that are part of the team, it's about making them better. So it's about a relationship between the two of you. And how do you do that? And so that relationship can affect relationships with everyone else in the team. And then, having the tools that you need to be successful. We've been talking about that already. Without the tools to be successful, it's just you're set up for failure. And then, being able to have the power to do your job, just to be left alone, like we've been talking about, to do your job. Yes, you need certain training or whatever based on the expectations from the organization, but then basically left on your own to do the job unless you need help.
Right.
And then, being able to make decisions. And I know we've talked about this on another call. I think Carla mentioned this, it's frustrating to have to ask, what should I do? You should have the knowledge and the skills and the tools to be able to make those decisions on your own without having to go to the leader all the time and asking, well, what should I do?
Right.
So that's really where that one goes. And so those are just important factors that I think are, in any organization that are important.
Right. And I love what you also put in here too, as well. It says, according to Quantum, the organization is responsible for the Best Places to Work initiative. It comes up with these 6 factors, and I love them all. It says leaders are committed to making a great place to work, trust in leaders to set the right course, believe that the organizations will be successful in the future, understanding how they fit into the organization. The leaders value people as their most valuable resource. I actually will word that one differently. I believe it's going to be, for at least us here bringing humanity together, leaders value people as the most valuable investment, because to me, the best investment is the human investment, and that leads into the last one. Make investments in helping their people be successful. And I truly believe in that, ladies. And how do we, like I said, how do we all embrace that? How do we get to those kind of 6 simple things? I truly believe it's so powerful and so positive.
Well,
Get your ego out of the way.
if you're not focusing on yourself, but you're focusing on your people, then obviously those are the kinds of things that you want to be doing. So it's just a matter of, what is your focus? And if it's about you, we have a problem.
Mm-hmm. Get your ego out of the way. Not about you.
Right. It's not about you, the leader. It's about your people. It's about the team. It's about the organization. It's, as a whole. And I think it's a commitment. You have to, leaders, organizations, they have to start, right? And they have to make a commitment to do these things, to make the workplace a better place, to help their team be successful. And so I think it starts with the commitment first. And then it's, it's taking the time to think about your team, to listen to your team, to learn, and then you can lead better. So, I mean, we can go back to John C. Maxwell, listen, learn, and lead, because if you don't listen and you don't learn what your people need, then you're not going to be a successful leader.
Mm-hmm. I like the quote by Richard Branson. Create an environment that people will want to work in, and you have to pull it up, Chris. Teach them well enough to where they don't want to leave, or they have the skills that they need, basically, if they choose to leave.
Well, yeah, I'll find it here.
Sorry, I just posted it.
And I mean, you think of those leaders that we're talking about ego. You think about those leaders that their people want to move on to other things, and they hold them back.
There's some organizations that will actually have, like, if you decided you wanted to switch departments and maybe go into another area or whatever in the organization, your supervisor would have to approve it.
Yeah.
And if you didn't necessarily have a good relationship with your leader because they weren't into fostering relationships, they wouldn't necessarily have your best interests in heart and allow you to grow.
Exactly. I know one of the
to grow because maybe you're good on the team that you're on, but maybe you want to do more, and they end up holding you back. And then why people leave.
Exactly. One of the companies that I worked for had a policy like that. And I tried to talk to the corporate office and say, this is not the best policy to have. I understand where it's coming from, but not every manager or leader has their employees' best interest. Mm-hmm. And so without proper training and allowing people, leaders, to grow as leaders, you don't get that. And then you hold people back. And what's going to happen is they're going to leave the organization.
Right. And I'm glad you said that, because I was going to go right into that as well. Is why have, and I'm sure all of us at one time or another have seen people in places of leadership, and they basically become a leader in name only. They say they will do that particular set of things for the day or for the month or whatever that might be, but then they don't follow through with that. And when people are wanting to move up or wanting to get goals met or whatever, they have the sense of, wait a minute, he's saying one thing to me and to everybody, let's say in a staff meeting or whatever, but turns right back around and does 180 degree opposite direction. And where does that leave me? What does that make me want to do? And I truly believe in my heart of hearts, leadership has to be truly intentional, that you really are wanting to intend everybody to be the best version of themselves, that makes you become even a better version of yourself in a leadership capacity. Even far more important, though, is for you to even become a better person. because regardless if you're in leadership or not, and you're not wanting to grow and to thrive and to learn better, and again, and coming into this mindset of I want to listen more and to learn more, to be able to lead more, then and you can throw all that out the window if you're not intentional enough to just take that first step and say, I recognize that I may not be the best leader out there, but I'm willing to grow and thrive with you guys because I know I'm on that same journey with you as you are with me. So we're all in the same boat. So if we all sink, then we all go down with the ship. But we shouldn't have to do that. We got to know our goals and know it very well to such an extent that if I have a bad day and it's not my day to really to lead, I can say without a quotation or just a second thought, hey, Carla's going to lead the team today, or Lisa's going to lead the team tomorrow, or Sandy's going to lead the team on a project next week. And I believe in that fluid leadership dynamic to such an extent. Again, me and Carla and everyone, I know everyone here agrees that everyone can be that leader, but I think the intentionality factor and the true genuineness factor of being a leader, and like I said, we've all seen it, has not really been at the forefront. Yeah, granted, they have stuff going on. I recognize that and understand that. But for us to get out of our own way as leaders, we have to recognize our faults, our greatest strengths, our weaker strengths, and say, hey, this is what you get. How do I improve myself to become a better leader to make you also a better leader? How do we get that kind of conjunction work together? How does that work, Sandy?
Well, I think, again, Chris, it boils down to paying attention to the other people. And that starts with active listening. And again, putting your ego aside, because it's not about you. If we're going to have a successful high performance team, then everybody has to be on the same page, and we have to be working collaboratively and helping each other. And if we don't respect each other, we're not nice to each other, it's not going to work. It's really not. And so it's a matter of what kind of culture are we working in? And if we have a good culture, then we're going to have a good team, because they're going to be happy, they're going to feel appreciated, they're going to feel supported, and they'll feel respected, and therefore they will do good work. But if people feel that they're taken advantage of and they're not given opportunities and they can't learn anything new and, so on and so forth, after a while, they're just, they disengage. So we don't get the most out of them. So it is really important to pay attention, and that starts with active listening. You got to listen to people and find out what their concerns are, maybe what they want to do. Maybe they want to learn something new. Maybe it'll be an advantage to the team. Well, then let them. Why would you stop them from growing? Because as Carla has said many times, we should continue to grow our whole life. And you can't do that if you're not continuing to learn things. And it's very important, because as I've mentioned before, if you're a robot, it's not very good for your brain. Because our brains are designed to create new neurons as long as we're alive, but only if we challenge it to open new neural pathways. And that only happens if we're learning to do something different. I mean, maybe it's the same thing, but we're going to do it in a different way.
Right.
Or, whatever. But if we're not growing and we're not learning things, it's not very healthy. It's just really not. On top of which, it's boring.
Yeah.
Well, it is, Carla. But it's a matter of, what are you doing? And if you can help your people to grow and to get a little better educated and to enhance the skills they have and learn some new ones and so on, you're going to have a good team. You really are. And that's why you as a leader have to pay attention to these things. Then your people will be happy, and happy people are creative, they're more productive, they're more efficient, and they get sick less often, because when you're happy, you enhance your immune system. So there are lots of advantages to having happy employees. I know Brian doesn't quite agree with me on this. It doesn't feel that it's the employer's job to keep people happy, but in a way, I really think it is. And that's based on the kind of culture that you have. And it's the leadership that has to commit to that. And they've got to model it. If they model the behaviors they want their team to employ, then there's a far better chance that will actually happen. It's just like with mistakes. You finger point and blame when somebody screws up, the next time they make a mistake, they're going to cover it up, and that's going to cause more problems. But if you are supportive and you are helpful, then it's a very different situation. And it's a matter of looking at how do we deal with things. So, people that get yelled at and finger pointed and blamed for things and, so on and so forth, they're not going to be very happy. And after a while, if they can find something else to do, they'll leave. And as we've mentioned many, many times, turnover is very expensive.
Yeah.
It's time consuming and it's expensive. And you don't really want that. And it's also not good for your customers. I told you, when a customer comes into a place, if it's a familiar face at the front desk and they recognize you and they say, good morning, oh, nice to see you, Carla, and nice that you're back again, whatever. I mean, but it's familiarity, it's comfort, it's reassuring. If you come in and every time you come into the store or to the office or whatever it is, there's a new face at the front desk, that's disturbing. It really is very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So it's, and it doesn't speak well. It means that, for some reason, nobody's happy here. So they keep leaving. And that's not very reassuring to clients. So, it's better to keep your people and to keep them happy and keep them learning and challenge them. Because if you challenge them, they'll be more engaged. It's more healthy for them. It's better for the team. And again, that was the reason why we did so much cross training in the office, because this way people could do different things, especially if, a patient didn't show up, then there were other things that they could do and they knew how to do it. So it wasn't really a big deal. And the other thing we used to practice was for medical emergencies. If there was a medical emergency in the office, what do? Well, you don't stand there and look at them. Somebody needs to phone 911, and if they're not breathing, you got to, do CPR and so on and so forth. And we used to practice, and we would talk about it. If the person who was supposed to phone 911 wasn't in the office, somebody else could do it. No big deal. Mm-hmm. But it was just a matter of getting people comfortable. And we used to have once a year somebody come in and review CPR, so that again people knew what they were supposed to do and how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a well-oiled team, then it flows well. And people think that that's just such I've got to develop a cultural program or a cultural environment. And it's really not hard to do.
No.
You treat people and you listen to them. I don't care who you are. You learn about them. And then, I'm sorry, everybody can be a leader. People go, oh, I'm not a leader. I'm just a follower. Well, let's just say that you had someone that said, hey, I'm not familiar with doing a PowerPoint project. And you could say, hey, I do them all the time. Let's get together and I'll show you how it's done. It's really easy. That's being a leader.
Exactly.
Or let me show you how to do that. It's really easy.
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, I found an easier way to do this. Are you open to letting me show you? That's being a leader.
Yeah.
Doesn't take
it's also being a good teammate.
Person.
Yeah. Just be nice. It's just as easy to be nice as it is to be nasty. So why wouldn't we be nice? It's just like I said, saying thank you. How hard is that? It's not really a big deal, but it makes a huge difference to someone who has put in an extra effort and they actually notice. They notice and they thank me. Mm-hmm. So then they're going to be more encouraged to do it again. And that's advantageous to the team because it means that, they either came in early or they stayed late or they did some extra things that made the project come together more quickly or whatever. But if they're not acknowledged, they won't continue to do that. They really won't because nobody noticed. Well, they'll figure nobody noticed. So why would I bother? Nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
That's the message that you're sending, that nobody cares.
So just imagine waking up every morning and thinking, I'm going to a job where nobody cares what I do.
Exactly, Carla.
That is a miserable existence. And there are so many people that are there.
Yeah, exactly. It's so sad.
It is.
Really is because, as we've talked many times, for most adults, we spend most of our life at work. If you hate your job, that means you hate your life. Not a very good thing. Really not. So, better to enjoy your job and take goodness from it, and take goodness from the people that you work with, and give goodness back. I mean, it's a two-way street, but it's the old story, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And if we just do that simple thing, we're good.
Now, who do you think said that?
Brian?
I'm about ready to find out because I had to refresh the page.
Oh, so it was somebody that left that message. Okay.
But
Sounds
I
like-
don't see it.
Sounds
Contact
like-
LinkedIn user, but I don't see it. That's weird.
Sounds like something that Brian or Patrick would say.
Oh no! Guess who that is?
Who?
That is Graham.
Wow, really?
Okay,
Yay.
Graham, you got to get on live, buddy. You got to get on live.
Terrific.
You got 4 minutes to get on live.
Yeah.
Well, I like what he said there. You don't need someone external to keep you committed to your job. And I agree with that. But I think your work-life balance, your balance at work is better when you have people supporting one another. And I also like what it says there, employees supporting leaders. I think we all should be supporting one another, period.
Yeah, when you're rowing together, you're growing together.
Yeah.
Exactly. And see, the more that we get in touch to each other's, like I said, strengths, great, or weaker strengths, whatever that might be, but we are willing to recognize how we can infuse their toolbox, so to speak. So if there's a tool that they may not have in their toolbox and maybe we do, let's lend that to them, and then they can duplicate that and replicate that so they'll have it in their toolbox. And then in same in turn, if there's something that we don't have in our toolbox, even from a place of leadership that someone else may have, at least recognize that is there and it's there. And if you can share that with that leader becomes a better leader because of it. And then you, I believe, become even a better person and better leader in your own right, because you say, hey, I gave them something that they did not have. And to me, the greatest gift that we can do is give somebody something that they may not already have. Or if they already have it and they don't know how to use it, we can show them how they can use that to the best of their potential. So let's do the call to action, ladies. And I will start with you, Lisa. What will be your call to action today?
My call to action today is just be intentional in how you interact with others. Be intentional and be committed to listening to people around you, learning more about others, and then leading better. So that I think they all interrelate, and it's not just at work, but in the community that you live in, with the people that you interact with. I think it's important to do that with everyone. Whether you hold a title of leader or not, I think we should all do that.
Absolutely. Miss Carla?
I think we need to be cognizant of the fact that we need to be learning from one another, and that we all have something that we can learn from each other. And even though you're a leader, you may not know it all. And you have to realize you don't know it all, but you can learn something from other people on your team.
Absolutely. I
Sandy?
think it's important to practice active listening and to be supportive and helpful to your teammates. And, you can also be helpful to your leader, but it's a matter of being nice and just, doing good things at your job. And if you have time to help somebody and they need an extra hand, go over and say, do you need help with that? Because I'd be happy to help you. And, it's not that hard. It's just being a human being. And I think that, humans should be nice to one another and show respect to one another and learn from each other. And if we can do that, we're going to have a great team, and you're going to have a great culture in your organization, and people are going to be happy because everybody's helping each other. And that's a really good environment to be in. That you know that if you need an extra hand, there are extra hands around to help. And, you know, you can show that you're willing to be the extra hand sometimes. I mean, I used to tell some of my clients that, you know, just because you're a manager, if the floor needs sweeping and nobody else has time to do it, you should pick up the broom. And when you do that, it shows people that, you know, you're part of the team, even though sweeping the floor isn't necessarily your job, but nobody else had time to do it. So you picked up the broom and did it. It's a very good example of showing that you're part of the team. So,
everyone can be a team player.
Exactly, Carlin. It's
Everybody should be.
Yeah.
And my call to action, ladies, is simply this, and I'll go back to these two quotes. Create better environments, create better results. Not only from a place of leadership, but everyone has the ability to do that. And then doing the right thing is the right thing to do, because you can't go wrong with right. And you can even do that not only from a place of leadership, yet again, also everyone in a dynamic organization can do that, because not only will it build that community, to me, ladies, community is unity. And if we can do that and let that be for what it is, our cultures in our organizations, and I even dare say our communities, will be stronger and be better for it if we just allow that to occur. So again, ladies, great insights yet again from each and every single one of you. I'm so excited and so humbled that we're going to do this together. We are going to bring humanity together, and we will bring humanity into the business and beyond, because we know that our very humanity is interconnected to everybody else. And we will be at that table of humanity that says, hey, we are here. We're here to help you build that field of dreams. And you know what? They will come. We know that. So again, ladies, thank you so much. And what's going to be on topic for tomorrow, Miss Carla?
Oh, it'll be a big surprise. We'll figure it out.
Well, I will say this. Change Your World is already starting to change my world.
Yes, it is.
I have got, not only did I get the ebook, I have now gotten the actual audiobook. So
wow. So we have 8 days to live to lead.
Yep, there you go. You're getting geared up for that. Now, just too bad you couldn't be able to take a recording and have it for us, and we could play it down the road. That'd be kind of nice.
Have to see what I can do about that.
All righty. So, ladies, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Tiffany and Graham, for engaging in the conversation today. Thank you so much, and we will see you tomorrow for Humanity Happy Hour, hosted by none other than our great partner and friend, Carla Finnegan. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.